again, we are back. Welcome to yet another episode of Behind the Lens. And oh my God, I can't believe it is already the end of September. But it is. And I am thrilled to have all of you listening, old listeners, new listeners, all of our classic film fans who tune in, all of our production people that tune in. It is an absolute joy to have you every week. And yes, in case you don't know where you are listening to Behind the Lens. I'm Debbie Lynn, Elias, film critic, creator, and host of Behind the Lens, and you can find my reviews and interviews around the globe in print and online, including a paper we aren't going to mention today. But I am beyond ecstatic to have sitting here with me today a very dear, dear friend and a fabulous actor, singer, and writer, STEVE Alllerick.
Thank you,
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm
good.
I'm so happy you made the trek all the way to Whittier.
I'm happy that I did too. Thank you for having me.
And you even brought donuts.
I did. Yeah, we gotta start the day off right. What better way is there to start with
Brian's in the booth
donuts?
grinning from ear to ear with that one. You know, it doesn't take much to please us.
No, just some coffee and donuts.
He sounds like he needs more coffee, doesn't he?
He's just chill and relax.
But Steve is here for the whole hour. We're going to talk about some very fun projects that he has been doing, ones that we can't talk about, that he'll just hint at. And also, we have some live call-ins today. At 11:15, we're going to hear from Jason Konopisos. I think that's how you say it. And PATRICK SANE with the short film TRIGGERMAN, which is playing at the Catalina Film Festival. And then, very exciting, and I'm excited to have Steve here for this, is we have BARNET BAIN, Oscar winner, Emmy winner, and writer-director of the new film starring Donald Sutherland, Milton's Secret, that comes out. So that's going to be really fun at the midway point of the show. But, you know, now we have a dilemma. Brian, you don't know this, but we now have a dilemma. Because Steve, his first L.A. appearance or working gig was on Star Trek Enterprise.
You're aging me, you know.
Well, this is very important because this is, you now are one of the few that get to participate in and experience live Brian's favorite segment and part of the show, the Star Wars Countdown. But
No, there's no conflict.
no conflict?
No, we're all a family.
Okay.
All us geeks and nerds have to stick together.
And if I'm gonna be honest, I'm a Star Wars fan.
Oh, I never had a.
So, If I had to pick one, I'd pick Star Wars.
The first time I ever heard of there being a divide between Star Wars and Star Trek fans was in the movie Fanboys. If you guys ever saw that one, that was the first time I ever realized. I saw. I was like, "What you're talking? You're saying that two entities that deal with space don't get along? Like, why is that an issue? Like, they're both good shows. They're both good movies.
Right.
They're both good entities. Like, just respect both of them. I like both of them. But
Yeah.
let's look at Star Wars. All right.
Oh,
We didn't get to do the countdown when we crossed the 100 day, but here's another big day.
Which one are we doing first?
We're gonna do
Star Wars?
we're gonna do Rogue One
Oh, we're going to do Rogue One
because
first.
that's the closest one.
Oh.
Rogue One is 80 days, 12 hours, 55 minutes, and as soon as I'm done with this sentence, 49 seconds to go.
I'd love it.
Okay, I only leave the front of my movie theater to come do this show, and then I'm right back out, lined right outside my local Cineplex because when episode 7 came out, I didn't get to watch it until 2 weeks after it came out. So I ain't making the same mistake this time.
Were
around.
you able to keep all the everything out? Were you able to not learn anything about it?
Yeah, because I enjoyed it. We've made references before. It was almost like I wasn't around for Psycho when it first came out, like the Alfred Hitchcock movie. But
Right.
if you remember, if you ever seen any documentaries for it, there was like big old posters with his face on it. He was going like this with a finger up to his mouth saying, anybody who shows to the screening up late will not be admitted. Don't talk about the film when you're leaving. Don't talk about it to your friends, your neighbors, your husbands, your wives. Don't talk to it about anybody.
Hitchcock preceded Fight Club.
Right.
Yeah, basically. And so I think that same level of respect was met with this movie. Even now, I don't see a lot of spoilers for the film.
Right.
There was a general like very how do I say it? Respect for people who haven't seen it, and I enjoyed that. So I'm gonna go watch this one, and I hope the same rules apply. Even though this is gonna be an old story, in a sense, because it's told before A New Hope, so there's not much spoiler.
But after Sith.
So yeah, so we kind of, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
if we look at it, we kind of know what, I mean, we definitely know what happens because.
Well, we know what happens, but we don't know how it happens, and that's
How
the
it
whole
gets
point
there.
of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
And I got to say that the woman they got to play Mon Mothma looks just like her,
Yes.
man.
I've only seen,
Like, just like her.
and I hope she has a bigger role in this because I enjoyed her in the original films, and she's kind of prevalent in the trailers, so hopefully she has a bigger role because she seemed to be an important
Yeah.
character.
I'm sure she does. I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
Well,
no,
no,
it's fine.
does.
very, very clearly when Rogue One comes out, Steve has to come back just so the two of you can just do the whole show and analyze Rogue One piece by
You
piece.
see, can you imagine? This movie came off of one line of hers.
Yeah,
Many Bothans died. you
That's
know
it.
that's it.
That's it.
That was it.
that's it.
But the one that
Nuts.
we normally look at first, and I did it backwards just because we're getting closer to Rogue One,
Oh, yeah.
is Star Wars Episode 8. This one is 444 days, 12 hours, and 53 minutes to go. So that one I'm not lining up until probably we hit the 400 mark. Just a little too early. But the Rogue One, we have to give it its respect because it is here. I can't wait to buy my Gillette deodorant and my Nissan car.
That's just it. Yes, we're very excited about all the product placement and
looking
your
forward to it.
cereal. Don't forget your General
Yes,
Mills cereal.
My cereal with hopefully some character unmasks themselves in this Jar Jar Binks. I need Jar Jar Binks back.
Misa
National
Cha-Cha Binks.
Yeah,
Okay, look, he also does. He also does
it. That was
voices.
great. Yeah.
I have a story about that.
Tell us.
A lot of commercial auditions, right? When you walk in, because most commercials you don't hear people speaking, they want an idea of your personality. So they go in and they'll at least in Toronto for a long time the thing was give me a stupid human trick. So it's just something stupid that you could do that kind of separates you from everybody else. You know, some people they're double jointed or they can make this funny sound or whatever. My thing is I can make my tongue like a clover, like.
Oh God.
Wait. Do it to the camera. There it is.
Oh my God.
That's
So,
awesome.
so that was always my thing. But me being the artist, I go in and I did well with commercials when I was living in Toronto. So, I would do it and get hired and do it and get hired. And then I was like, you know what? I'm an artist. I got to do something different. This is right after episode 1 came out. So I go in this audition. They go, okay, can you do a stupid human trick? And I go, yeah, I can do Jar Jar Binks. And I go, Misa Cha Cha Binks, Misa Walkie. And they're like silence. They just stared at me. And there was a split second. And then I go,
And then they all got up and
no. I wish. They stared at me. And then I go, well, I also do this thing with my tongue, and then I do the thing with the tongue, and they go, oh, great. So they were not impressed with Jar Jar, and that was the first and last time I did Jar Jar
But
Binks.
did you go, Misa can do this with my tongue?
No,
Oh, God.
I gave up after I saw their face. When I started, I was like, okay,
Can you
I
please,
guess.
live on air, can you give us a drop saying you're listening to Behind the Lens as Jar Jar Binks,
Oh,
please?
man. Okay, wait. Misa Cha Cha Binks, you are listening to Behind the Lens.
Awesome. Okay, I marked it. I'm playing that every single day until episode 8 comes out. There.
All right.
But listen, I didn't get to practice that, so I don't know how spot on that was.
I don't care. It
Okay.
sounded great.
He doesn't.
It sounded. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
It was almost as great as when you walked in with the coffee. In Just,
So now I'm your favorite guest, I hope.
I can't say that on air, but yes.
Okay. All right.
see.
I think Alan Tudyk was one of his favorites as a call-in.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk did King Candy for me.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but no, I like everybody that's come in. There's never been one person that I did not like, and you're definitely in the group of people that I like.
I
Thank
would
you.
say you're in Brian's top 3, if not top 1.
Well, I mean, the
Well, I'm
donuts,
my own
donuts
top
and
one.
coffee alone should be some points there, and
Yeah.
then Jar Jar Binks that should be points.
But as an actor, Steve has a very eclectic background and something that, in addition to Jar Jar Binks, he was in The Lion King.
I
What?
was.
Wait, well, who did you play on?
Well, to clarify, it was the Broadway musical.
Awesome.
Yes, Broadway.
I never got to see that, but I've seen the DVD when they released it on DVD. I had it. I love that production.
Well, I have. They have monitors backstage, so you can know where you are. So there's no camera angles or anything. It's just one big wide shot. But well, I'm not supposed to have a copy of them, but I do. It's been long enough now that I think I can admit
think
it.
you're
and,
safe.
And I'm safe. But I'll bring it for you. You can take a look at it and see
All right.
me in it.
Next time I'll bring the coffee and donuts.
All right, done.
Oh,
When you
my.
bring in
But
the
I
DVD.
I was Simba.
So yeah, you didn't just play like animal number 3. You were actually like you were the Lion King.
I did. I originated in Toronto. I went to Broadway for a little while. I did it out here for the last part of the run. Yeah, man. I mean, like, there is no experience that is gonna match that. There's none. First off, I swing in on a vine and finish Hakuna Matata. Like what entrance can you? There's no entrance that beat. I swing in on a vine, center stage with a spotlight, and then and then. My song, all the songs in there are beautiful, but I thought my song really was the best song. It was to me.
The
It was
Can't
the
Wait
most
to Be
touching.
King?
No. Endless Night. That one,
that's good.
yeah, it's in the musical. It's not in the movie.
Right.
I lie. That's not exactly true. It is in the movie, in the scene where Simba is looking at the apparition of his father, but it's just in the music in the background. And then Julie Taymor wrote words to that, and then it became a song for the musical. So
Yeah, see, we have Broadway stars here. Carol Cook is still one of your. Speaking of Broadway, Carol is one of your favorites.
Everybody's my favorite. She was flirty, which I mean, if you want to kick up your flirtiness, with me, we'll
it's a
talk
lovely shirt, Brian.
Thank you.
He doesn't
those
have to do anymore.
glasses,
He,
man.
he brought you coffee and donuts.
Why are you wooing me? I have nothing to do with this program.
It's just I want the title. I want the title of favorite guest. So I'll do what it takes.
No, you. I mean, somebody else is writing a song for me. I mean, why am I so loved on this program? What did I do? Because we have another person that's writing a song for me, and you bring in the coffee and donuts wasn't for me, but you're doing.
He knew you were here.
Do you see how many coffee? I brought the right amount of coffees.
You did actually.
Everything's divisible by 3.
That was very, very kind of you, because sometimes people forget the engineer.
No, I'll
And
never forget the engineer.
No, and working with Broadway, you probably understood how big of a production. It's not just the actors.
Yeah.
Because I've worked on play productions, not as big as Lion King, but if one person's missing, then the entire production falls off.
Well, I tell you what, that's the thing, even especially with movies. Movies, to me, more so. Movies and TV. If you ever worked on a movie set, like, the actors, when you watch something, that's what you see. But the amount of stuff that goes on behind it to make that happen, it's ridiculous,
Well, and that's why I am such a staunch advocate of people keep your butts in the seat and watch the credits.
Yeah.
Pay respect to the people that have put this on the screen before you.
Right.
Big, small.
On the screen, the actors can't do it by themselves.
Right.
There's an entire team. 10 times 10 for every actor. There's like 10 other people doing stuff, and it can't happen without them. So it's crazy.
And for me, with Tubby as a father, I have the utmost respect for engineers, camera people. I mean, it's all about behind the lens and below the line.
Yeah.
And I think if more people, audience members, were aware of that and would show that respect, I think it would be a much better relationship between movies and the audience, especially when it comes awards time.
Right.
And people understand more why they get the lauding and the praises that they do.
And I think part of the reason why people don't stay and watch the end credits because there's no context for them.
Yeah.
Like if they see Gaffer, they don't know what he does. So what difference does it make when they watch him? And they can't, like it's easy for someone to sit back, the layperson sit back, watch something, and go, oh, the directing was bad. But hold on, was it the directing or was it this or was it that or was this? Like there's so much. So.
But I mean. That's why, I always rip apart and pay attention to all of those factors. And that's what we do here on the show.
Yeah.
Because without all of those people, and that's a big problem, as you know, from a certain debacle that occurred recently.
Yes.
Yes. For somebody that, just looks at trailers to go to the movies and insists, and I quote, I don't read. When I suggested, well, in order to make a more informed decision, you might want to check out reviews or something.
See, I didn't know what the debate was over. So I think I'm going to plead the fifth on this.
Yes.
One. I'm
No.
going to stay out. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Yeah. I mean, that's the reason for having someone review a movie, I guess, is to basically tell you whether you should be going, whether they think you should be going or not.
And if you don't read, you can just listen to Behind the Lens because we talk about those things.
Right on.
So Brian, do we have Jason and Patrick? Well, hello, Jason and Patrick. Are you there?
Hi, this is Jason. I'm here.
Hi, Jason. Are you there, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Patrick. Good to meet you. How
Hi,
you doing?
guys. Welcome to Behind the Lens. You're here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, a thrill. And also here with us today is actor, writer, director, and producer and singer himself, Steve Allerick. So,
How you doing, guys?
So you get
Hey, how you doing?
you get to put up with both of us today.
Great.
Tell us, okay, you've got TRIGGERMAN, which I watched. It is 17 minutes. It is a beautiful, beautiful short film that is playing in the Catalina Film Festival.
Thank you very much. Wow.
How did
I
this?
pray.
Now I know Patrick, you're a producer. Jason,
Yep.
you directed. Patrick, you're also in the film. Obviously, being the producer, it was a given that you could cast yourself if you wanted to.
Well, that's not really how this thing came about. It was a little bit more the other way around. I met the writer at a function, and we just got to talking, and we hit it off. And actually, we were talking smack and having fun. And he said, "Man, I've been thinking about writing something, and you're it. You're like this guy that I've been thinking about writing for." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And to make a long story endless, a couple months later, I didn't hear anything, and he sent me this script, and I read it, and I thought, "Man, this is awesome." Not only was I honored to have something written for me, I'm not playing the lead. I play a supporting character. C. Thomas Howell plays our lead.
And he is
Right.
amazing.
Yeah. So
I worked with
that's
him.
Pony Boy. Everybody knows Pony Boy from back in the day. So anyway, when I saw the quality of the writing and it was something that was written for me, I said, "You know what? I'm going to help you produce it." So it was really more the actor for the producer thing, and then motivated to do so in the interest of, being enamored by this writer's work. So that's how this whole thing kind of got rolling.
So, Jason, how did you come to direct the project?
I was producing a film in Austin, a feature film, and named Flutter, with the name of Flutter. And I got a call randomly from a DP I knew named Larry McKee, and he said, "Hey, I've got this film that I'm working on with this writer, Doug Williams. Would you be interested in coming on board and directing?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I'd like to read it first and meet everybody involved." So I flew to Houston, had a meeting with Patrick and Doug, and I was on board.
I'm glad you mentioned Larry McKee because the visuals in TRIGGERMAN are stunning. They are saturated. There's a heightened sense of the surreal, which matches perfectly with the theme of the film and with the script structure in and of itself. But you also have some beautiful VFX that then plays into this. How did you and Larry go about approaching the visuals?
Well, it's interesting. I have a very distinct look that I like to accomplish on my films. Like, for example, I don't like to shoot actors in 45 degree. I don't like profile. I like to be straight on. I like to see both eyes, especially in dramatic scenes. So Larry really helped me accomplish that, and a lot of the special effects are actually practical. Practical shots. They look like they're special effects, like the glass.
The
shot
glass
at
dissolving
the bar.
into the table, into the bar.
Yeah, that's practical. That
It's
was-
gorgeous.
that was me. Yeah,
It's enhanced
under the
practical,
bar.
but yeah, he actually did that.
covered in
physically.
paint.
Patrick, yes, go ahead.
No, I'm saying we enhanced it afterward, but he physically did it. Like tell him, Jason. They set up this thing, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "We're making this glass sink into the surface." Like they physically did it, you know.
I'm pretty sure everybody thought I was crazy on set because I didn't want to do VFX. I wanted to have the shot done practically, so I had them build a small tub, and I kind of submerged half my body in a vat of paint and had the glass go down. Instead of doing something with VFX that I don't think would have looked and felt the same, I think it's a very sort of nuanced feeling that maybe a lot of people don't realize when they're watching a film, the difference when they see something, and there's just something, more tactile when it's real.
Let me ask you, because Steve sitting here has worked with C. Thomas Howell before, so I'm curious how you got him involved in the project. And as I said, he is brilliant. It is a brilliant casting and a brilliant performance by him.
Well, we were really lucky. I had a former business partner who did a movie called Sanitarium, and I myself, as an actor, we had known the casting director, Scott David. And we went to Scott, and Scott gave us a bunch of names that came off the top of his head, and one was C. Thomas Howell. And when he told me that on the phone, it was funny. I was with my girlfriend, who is now my fiance, who is
Congratulations.
A huge fan. Thank you very much. Who's a huge fan, and she just looked at me and she was like, "That's the one." And we met real briefly and on board. It's like that's the most credit goes to Scott David because he had that foresight to think of him for the role.
So now, how exciting is it for you guys to be in the Catalina Film Festival with TRIGGERMAN?
Well,
Go ahead.
Blown away because the history of Catalina, the casino, basically just the beauty of the island and the glamour of the event. I can't even put into words how excited I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very prestigious showcase for the film.
Yeah. It's an honor, and the fact that they put us in the time slot at 7 p.m. on Saturday night, following the Saturday press line and red carpet, is that's yet another level of honor. So we're extremely thankful to Catalina for hosting us, and of course, excited.
And I'm sure you're both going to be there for this event.
Yes,
absolutely.
Is it this when is it?
It's this Saturday, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, this coming Saturday. Yeah. So
I actually am just getting back from a week in Catalina, so I love it so much. I took a week there, and now I'm going to go back in a week.
Well, why not? They should have your room ready for you by now. So now you guys, you both have acting experience. You've got, producing experience. What is it that speaks to each of you when you become involved in a project? Is it the writing? Is it the creators for you, Patrick, is it the director? What's your bar for looking at something and having an interest?
Most definitely always starts with the writing, and that goes both ways. As this guy writing something for me, it was one thing, and I take that with a grain of salt. I was appreciative, but then when I finally saw it, it's one of the few things that, when I read something, if I'm having an experience in my mind, if I'm seeing it happen, if I'm experiencing it, like I would read a great novel, or and I can feel it coming alive, then I'm great. If I'm constantly having to go back and reread and that's not adding up, it just doesn't make any sense or whatever. Good writing, I think, is just page turning. It's like, okay, great, page, just page turner, and you're engaged in the story on paper. And if somebody can start with that as a foundation to make a film, then, your chances of ending up with a good finished product, because it goes through so many processes down the road. I mean, pre-production, and then there's production, and then there's the edit, and then there's, VFX and sound, and, it's so many, the three levels of film. There's the written film, the shot film, the edited film. So if you don't have, to me, if I'm reading or writing and it doesn't make sense, and sometimes it's just god awful bad, that's like, well, I don't think this is going to work. So it's always that, and then I guess, if I'm this is a different case because it came to me first, which almost never happens. So, on the other end of it, then yes, there is a look at the directors and the producers to see, what they have done, and maybe look at, if on the independent small level. This is the tiny little short film, indie film. We don't have, it's not a studio thing, it's not a TV behind it, So when you're looking at those things and deciding, well, you want to get involved, which it's never about the money, not on something like this.
Right.
That's sure, just never. So it's always about art. So you want to look at those other artists. You want to see, how they convey storytelling, and because to me, that's what it is. We're telling stories. It's like it's it's the oldest art form. I imagine that 100 million years ago, cavemen were sitting around a fire, and they told stories. They used their imagination. They told stories about the sun and the stars and the wildebeest or whatever. So this is like a timeless aspect of being human. So I take it kind of seriously, I guess.
And quickly, Jason, because I know we have to go to a commercial break for the next segment. But Jason, what about for you?
Like Patrick said, if it's not on the page, it's not going to be on the screen. So the writing is paramount. But with that being said, there's sort of a gestalt of vision that you have when it's all these aspects. If the script's not up to par, sometimes you can see a vision of something, the potentiality for something that's greater than any of the sum of its parts. You look at this, and like with other projects, you look at C. Thomas Howell, you look at Patrick, Kathy Barnett, amazing actress that was on Justified and came in and did a great job for us. You start looking at all the parts, and you start to see, this is bigger. This has got a lot more potential than just what the original idea was. If you think about it, the original idea was just a fraction of what it became. It was Doug in a hanging out with some friends saying, I got this idea, it's going to kind of be this. If you would have asked him, do you think it's going to evolve into, Pony Boy and Kathy and Patrick and all these people coming together and this huge crew and, this whole thing, I don't think he would have necessarily seen that at the beginning. So I feel like there's just a certain, not to be, cliche, but there's a certain kind of magic that you can kind of feel on a project, and you look at it and you go, you know what, this has got potential to be, to grow and to keep growing.
Well, guys, I can't thank you enough for joining us. And, unfortunately, we're so packed today, I don't have more time for you. But Saturday at Catalina Film Festival, TRIGGERMAN.
Is it playing anywhere else after that?
We don't know yet. We're still waiting to hear back from some different festivals, and we got some things submitted. So, but that'll be out there on social media. And our publicist, Jessica Kill, who's a rock star, will take care of that stuff for us.
Yes, well, you can tell the rock star needs to keep me in the loop, so we'll have you back on the show with more time in the future.
Certainly, absolutely.
Thank you so much for having
me.
us.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
And that was Jason Konopisos and Patrick Sane talking TRIGGERMAN at Catalina Film Festival this weekend, 7 o'clock on Saturday. Should we take a short break, Brian? We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back to Behind the Lens. And And welcome back to Behind the Lens. I'm Debbie Elias, and here with me in studio today, I am so thrilled to have the uber talented actor, singer, Broadway musical star.
You're really making me sound really good, much better than I actually am.
No,
Ripped. He's muscles that look like he can carry me down the stairs.
Steve Allerick is here with me live, and this is just such an absolute thrill because I cherish Steve. For how many years have we known each other?
Probably a good 10.
A good 10 years
Yeah.
at least, if not more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have watched him throughout his career, adding commercials and more commercials, and they're national ones too. And
I've been fortunate.
you've been very, very fortunate. But of course, how do you top Simba?
You don't.
Swinging in on a vine with a spotlight, and you're playing Simba on Broadway.
I'm going to tell you something. I will never forget my first day in New York. My first day in New York, the first thing I noticed, because I did it in Toronto, I did it in New York, I did it in LA, and the houses, the theater houses, they matched the city. So like New York's was packed and cramped. There was like 3 balconies and everybody's crammed in, but the energy is incredible because people are like, inches away feels like they're inches away from your face. And then LA, it's huge and spread out.
Yeah.
The theater itself had all this extra space. It was kind of crazy. Yeah.
Well, we're bringing on another superb talent right now. We have Oscar winner, Emmy winner, the incredible Barnet Bain. Hello, Barnet. Welcome to Behind the Lens.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Debbie. It's good to be here with you and all your listeners.
Oh, and also with me today is actor, singer, writer, director himself, Steve Allerick. And we were talking about even before the show, some of the films that you have done, what Dreams May Come, Homeless to Harvard, still one of my favorites. Celestine.
Thank you so much. Good to be with you, Steve.
Hey, nice to meet you over the air.
And we're here today to talk about your latest film, which I'm in love with. It is such a quiet film, but it is such a positive film. It is such an inspirational and hopeful film, Milton's Secret, based on Eckhart Tolle and Robert Friedman's book. Just beautiful job, Barnet. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
What led you to this book and then adapting it, not only adapting the screenplay, but then also stepping into the director's chair for this one?
Well, the subject mattered to me. I was shown the book in galleys by the publisher a number of years ago, and I thought it was originally a work of juvenile literature, and I thought, well, there are themes here that matter to me, and I can see how to turn this into a movie for adults that deal with the uncertainties of family life.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, I was taken by the bullying theme. It's a big deal for me. There's the obvious violence of bullying, physical and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
That's there. But even more subtle in all of our lives is the violence that we do to ourselves as a result of our internal self-talk. Things like, well, you're not good enough or smart enough or thin enough or fat enough or rich enough or you're too tall or thin or black or white. You get the point?
Mm-hmm.
So this thing is there's this whole inner thought stream, and it's a product from outside ourselves. These are messages that we receive from our culture, our entertainment, our advertising, our media, our families, our schools. It's a hand-me-down worldview, and the physical bullying always starts from there, whether you're a child on a playground or a banker on Wall Street. It always starts as an inside job. I thought that's an important understanding, and it's worth building a movie around.
Mm-hmm. Well, and all of those themes come through. It crystalline. It is so beautifully executed. But your visuals also carry through those same thematic notes. How did you, and I see, 3 very distinct looks in terms of the lighting and the lensing that you and your cinematographer, Ray Dumas, put together. specifically within the family home, within the garden, and anytime Donald Sutherland is on screen. And then, of course, young Milton's bedroom and his fort where he conducts his alchemy experiments. What were your considerations? Were you visualizing this while you were writing, or was this something that you and Ray sat down and constructed after the fact in pre-production?
Well, first of all, it's such a gift to speak to somebody that is attuned to these things, so I'm grateful to you for that. And in the writing of it, I don't concern myself much with the specifics of it. I'm aware that down the road we're going to be dealing with this, but I'm not aware of it in the writing. This really happened working with Ray Dumas, sitting for a couple of weeks on his boat and going through a lot of movies that I love, that he loves, that we felt were good references to begin a conversation, and then talking a great deal about the possibilities. And just as an aside, Ray had invented a piece of gear, which was the secret sauce in a little movie called The Revenant. And it's called a slingshot, and it's a piece of gear that suspends the camera on a shoulder rig so that you have complete mobility, but it is not as dreamy as a Steadicam, and it's not as erratic and handheld. And we shot our entire movie with two cameras on slingshots.
Oh my!
Gives it that very, very alive look that we haven't really seen in movies before, except in the bear sequence in The Revenant. But I shot the whole movie on it, and it's a very, very unique style. And it also allowed us to move very, very quickly. I didn't have a schedule that could afford me the time to lay track and put up a bunch of lights. So there's minimum lighting, and all of it handheld on a slingshot.
Wow, I'm amazed. I know. I talked to Chivo during the award season and before about The Revenant, and he raved about using the slingshot for that very purpose in order to get those intense close-ups and with the bear sequence. So
yeah, the slingshot is quite a tool. I mean, it's staggering. I have another film coming up, and I'm so tempted to use them again. We'll see. It's a little early. Talk to Ray about it.
Hand in hand with that, your lighting, especially in Donald Sutherland's scenes, so important. Out in the garden where he's building the gazebo, and also the lighting when we get in with Milton and his two distinct areas in which, he creates. Great similarity between the grandfather and the grandson in the lighting selection that you guys have designed.
Yeah. Well, it was important to suggest, the beautiful thing about filmmaking is you have this incredible palette with an amazing range of tools. And when the grandfather is on screen, the grandfather's worldview is entirely different. He meets the challenges of life in an entirely different way than anybody else in the film. And so his experience of the world is very different. And it's important. It was important for us to indicate that in a subtle way. People that have eyes to see it, as you do, will see it. But he does not. This is a man whose heart is so open, and he's so fully in the moment. He's not importing disappointments from the past into the present. He's just completely moving moment to moment, and so his world is filled with beauty. And we wanted to be sure that the screen was filled with beauty when he was in it.
Well, and it most definitely is. And similarly with the character of Milton, wonderfully played by William Ainscough. Just an absolute. He is a young man to watch on screen. But even there, you use a lot of the little Christmas tree lights that, like the glimmering flame of what's to come for him. And it magical. Absolutely magical. What was the casting? 'Cause you've got Donald Sutherland, you have William, you've got David Sutcliffe, Michelle Rodriguez, Mia Kirshner, a fabulous cast.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, by no order of blessings, I'll start off with Donald. We sent Donald the script, and it took 2 days, and I got a letter from him, a letter, not even an email. And he said he'd read it, and he'd been looking for something like this for several years, and that he went to sleep, and when he woke up the next morning, he found Stuart Howard, who was the character he played. He found Stuart Howard's slippers already under his bed.
That's cool.
And so he was in. He was totally committed. And then I didn't even have to go out to Michelle Rodriguez. I got an email from Michelle Rodriguez, and she had found her way to the script, and she wanted to know whether she could play it. And I thought she would be absolutely wonderful because it is so against type.
Very much so.
That she would bring something very, very fresh to it. Mia, we cast, I read a lot of amazing women for that role. And there's something about Mia that is so thrilling. I find her thrilling to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Mia is like somebody who throws herself out of a plane with a parachute kit. and puts it together, hopefully on the way down. So I am just, it's just so exciting to watch. I never really know exactly what is going to come from her. So that is both hair-raising and thrilling. So I was really excited to work with Mia, and I can't wait to work with her again. She's wonderful. The boy. I mean,
William's
astonishing. So I spent 5 months. I looked at hundreds of boys on tape, and sat in the room with probably 40 or 50.
Mm-hmm.
And William is something else. Just really something else.
Can I ask you something?
I asked him in his audition. I asked him about a grandfather that he had recently lost his grandfather, and he just completely came unglued. I've never seen anything like it. Actually, the only place I've ever seen anything like it is if you Google Henry Thomas's audition for E.T. Was it Henry Thomas? No, yes. Who played Elliot?
That was Henry
right.
Thomas. Yeah.
It was Henry Thomas. If you Google Henry Thomas's audition for E.T., it's on YouTube. You will see exactly what happened with me and William Ansell. Exactly the same thing. I thought, oh my God, lightning does strike twice.
Wow.
That's how I found William Ansell. Then he's so in tune and so he's just such an intelligent actor and so in tune with his emotions that it's very unusual. But the trick with him was to pull him back from his emotionality. Usually, actors, particularly children, are so split off from feeling their emotions, but they're so alive in him. He's an extraordinary actor.
I was going to ask you about the difference between auditioning in person and in tape. You said you saw a bunch of tapes and you met people in person. Is there a difference for you? Like, is there one that you prefer over the other, and why?
Well, I like to see. What I like about tape, obviously, is it simplifies my life, and it's sort of it's great as a first pass. I see without the benefit of how it's being lit and where the shot is. I don't, almost never is the camera lined up in a way that I can see what's going on in the eyes and what's happening in the face. But it is a good way. It's convenient, and we live in times where we're all just overwhelmed, and I don't know any other way that I could have gotten through the numbers of actors, and lots of them were wonderful, and not and many of them were not right for the role, and rather than have them in a room and being myself in a room, I'd rather just see the selection casting and then go through them myself and then winnow down those that I want to sit with. And doubtless, in that kind of a process, you miss some gems, you miss some treasures, and it's unfortunate. It's just the scale of this kind of filmmaking and the speed of this kind of filmmaking that's what we contend with.
Barnett, you do so much in terms of creativity workshops. You are part of the Take Daughters and Sons to Work Foundation. Everything that you do is about hope and possibility. Where does that drive and passion come from?
Well, it matters. I mean, it just matters to me. I'll tell you why. When we become complacent about these things, some really tragic things happen. First, our personal imagination begins to collapse. We start to rely more on conventional wisdom and pundits. And instead of an interior imaginative life, we start to think in a kind of groupthink. And, now in a political season, we see that more than ever. Dogma starts to substitute for authentic dialogue. Everything is framed in blacks and whites. There's no room for nuance. We start to lose hope and vision. Vision creates the boundaries of what's possible, and hope's a bridge that can take us there, and they're indispensable. And when we don't pay attention to them, we lose them. Along with it, we lose a sense of compassion and empathy, and this kind of lack of compassion is at the root of so many great problems in the world. So I think that without supporting stories, how I feel about it is without me participating in my own way, I would be left clinging to positions that don't leave any room for innovation and discovery. And so it matters to me personally, and I want to have that sort of impact on people who I love and I care about. And by extension, it's not as visceral, but by extension on my community and my country and my world. So it matters.
Well, and definitely on watching Milton's Secret, all of your philosophies, this is custom-made, tailor-made, match in heaven. I mean, by film's end, it's very obvious that the real alchemy in life is the blend of all the good stuff that you put into the beaker of yourself. And it just, a beautiful, beautiful film, Milton, Barnett. And it's opening Friday, I believe.
It opens next Friday, yeah. Oh, this Friday.
This Friday, yes.
This Friday.
It's already the end of September, Barnett.
Exactly. Oh, wow. I walked out of the room and I came back and it was a year later.
Can you believe it? So, is it going nationwide, or are we starting small with a platform?
It's platforming. It's in 10 cities, and but it's all day and date. It's on video on demand and online. It's all available. However anyone wants to access it or consume it, it's there on September 30th. Amazon and iTunes and all the usual suspects.
Well, I can't recommend it highly enough, and I have to say that I watched it last night after a very, very, very traumatic day yesterday, and I immediately felt better after watching the film.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm very gratified to hear that. Really, thank you so much. So may that be a harbinger of things to come.
Oh, I hope so, Barnett. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it so much, Steve. Until we meet again.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
And that was Barnet Bain.
Look, when you hear somebody speak about their film like that, how can you not like? How can you not want to go see it? You know what I mean? Like, clearly, both sets of guests that you had today, you can see how much thought goes into every single bit of their film. No one's just setting up a camera and just put it there. No one's doing that. Nobody. Every frame is being thought about intensely, and that's, you don't get better filmmaking than that, man.
And that's something that I found with indie film. With so many indie filmmakers, they do put that care. Now, Barnett, he's done the bigger films, What Dreams May Come, which, of course, every frame of that film is just gorgeous.
Right.
But many who aren't just picking up a phone and thinking, this will shoot a film, I'm going to shoot a movie. No, the ones that actually plan it out, think about it, and it starts with the script that they are passionate about. It has themes that matter to them. They're not coming in for the paycheck.
Yep.
And I think that's the real key to a film that is resonant to people.
I agree. And you know what, Deb? I have to give you credit because shows like this show give voice to those things that may not necessarily get their voice heard or voice out there. We're drowned out by the big films. There's nothing wrong with the big films, you know what I mean, with the big blockbuster. Well, maybe we can disagree. I don't know.
No, I love I love the tentpole films.
Right.
But the purpose of the tentpole films is essentially just pure entertainment 9 times out of 10.
Right.
You want escapism.
Right.
These smaller indie films are much more thoughtful.
Yep.
And they say something very important that speaks to hearts and minds.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Yeah, and then that's one of the reasons, as you know, what helped me to decide to even do this show.
Yeah.
Was to give a voice and to showcase, people like Barnet Bain, films like Milton's Secret, little shorts like Triggerman.
Right.
Or even stuff that you write. Which, by the way, I do have a lot of notes on somebody's script.
Okay. Well, I'm anxious to hear it.
No, they're written all over it, and I would have printed it out, except a little white cat had been playing, climbing behind the printer last week, and pulled the plug out. So I couldn't figure out why nothing was printing, and then I went and I looked, and I just couldn't move the furniture out to rehook everything. But even this morning, it's like, okay. She's still here. But now, so many different roles here. And, fellow Canadian of Donald Sutherland.
Right.
He's had a career that lasts forever. You have a much more diverse career.
Yeah. For people who are only listening, I'm very mixed race. Which in terms of North America and especially in the film industry is new. Like when I first moved here, I was lucky to get certain things. I mean, I suppose it's no coincidence that something as like Star Trek that had always been kind of forward thinking in terms of race and stuff like that.
That was your first role here.
That was my first role in LA. The Lion King, they specifically wanted someone that kind of looked like me, but that doesn't happen very often. And my first while here was pretty tough in terms of theatrical. Everything is starting to come around. I still say it's still a struggle, to be seen and to be to get roles, but it's coming around. But I think that's why it's diverse because, well, not only because of that, but because I'm so mixed race, I pass for different things.
Yeah.
So on any given day, if the wind's blowing right, I can look this way or I can look that way, right? So.
But, but now on that diversity issue, let me get you to weigh in on this because the jury is out and it's very polarizing. Mm-hmm. You know me, and my philosophy is that you hire the best person for the job.
Right.
Whereas others are like, no, we need to set these percentages and parameters.
Well, here's the trouble, in my opinion, is that how do you change a system that's already unfair? Mm-hmm. Unfair okay, let me let me say it differently. Misrepresentative. It's misrepresenting what the world really looks like. How do you fix that?
Yeah.
Other than going, all right, look, you gotta hire this many people. It's true. I do think there is a certain unfairness, but things have already been unfair. So
Right.
you kind of gotta shift it in order to kind of make everything right.
But should you sacrifice quality?
Well, that's assuming that you sacrifice quality.
Well, that's
right.
yeah, that's the other prong.
And supposing you do have a quote unquote lesser actor in a role, but you're adding a point of view to it that may be worth the
Well,
loss.
yeah, and that goes into the
talent.
grand scheme then,
Right.
because there is a purpose there. It's not just to meet a quota.
Right.
I have
Right.
no problem with that.
Well, I mean, and you hear a lot of writers talk, like TV writers and showrunners, and they're really starting to pull in different voices. You know, these writers that may not have, an extensive resume, but they, we have this gay person in the room that can add a voice that we don't normally hear, and we have this Indian person in the room that, their resume is not huge, but their voice is adding something new that we haven't really, a perspective we don't normally see. So, the writers' rooms in TV are getting there.
Well, you've been adding a lot of diversity and perspective lately. You're doing so many roles: Jane the Virgin, Fear of the Walking Dead, stuff you can't talk about.
Well, yeah, a couple of things. They're kind of secretive because of the nature of the show. One's on USA, I'll say that. One's on the network USA, but I signed an NDA, so I can't really talk about it. And the other one is this awesome animated feature.
I wanted to ask it because, you actually did motion capture for that.
Yeah, it was facial motion capture, so I'm not sure how the rest of it's gonna go in terms of, but that one actually was real simple because they put the stuff on you and then you kind of just forget about it. You move your mouth and your face the way that you normally would, and just allow the computer to catch it.
Now, did they do the kabuki motion capture all over the whole face, or just the spot?
No,
motion capture.
No, not spot. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. There was a camera that caught all of my face, and that translates. So there weren't any dots on my face. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's an interesting film. So when I can tell you more about it, I will.
Oh, good. You'll have to. And of course, Brian is giving us our 1 minute mark here. We only have a minute.
That went by fast.
You have to talk about doo-wop. You sang at the Doo-Wop Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
I did. That was fantastic. I got to give a shout out to John Wilson, who is one of the founding members of Sly, Slick, and Wicked, a very popular R&B group in the past. Thank you, John, for that, and Sydney Chandler, a fantastic writer and good friend. Both of those people hooked me up with that job, and it was a dream, man. To get up and sing in front of legends was.
And you've got the voice for it.
Well, thank you, Deb.
I just think you need to change your repertoire once in a while. At a certain...
You are my top critic, and I love you for that.
If you suck, I'm going to tell you.
Yes, I
Just
do.
like everybody. That is my. If you suck, I'm going to tell you. If you're fabulous, I'm going to tell you.
You tell it like it is.
I try.
Yeah.
Well, and unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. Next week, we're going to have Lisa Ann Walter and Joe Burke in studio. And
Very cool.
and fingers crossed for a surprise guest calling in that I'm working on right now. But I have to thank Barnet Bain. I have to thank Patrick Sane, Jason Konopisos. Go see TRIGGERMAN at Catalina Film Festival. Milton's Secret is in theaters this Friday. And, of course, my good friend STEVE Alllerick, who is keeping stuff in the dark
Thank
for
you.
now. But he will be back. And
I'd love to
Brian's
be
buying the coffee and donuts next time. And he's nodding.
It's a whole show on Star Wars next time.
Okay, and he perks up. Oh, my God. All right, until next week, I'm Debbie Elias. This is Behind the Lens.